Hi guys, welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, in recent videos we've been showing you how to use a code module to add CSS and JavaScript. We've been showing you the additional CSS tab and custom CSS tab for using CSS that way. Today we're going to show you how to use a bit of inline CSS. You can just add straight to your module. You can decorate text and make it look like buttons and things like that. That's the example we're going to do today. Really easy to do and a really great thing to learn. And this isn't Divi specific. This will work with Elementor. It will probably work with Gutenberg. It'll work with anything that you've got a WYSIWYG text editor with that's got a text tab on it. So let's get started. I'm going to enable my Visual Builder. And let's go down. Let's add a new row and we'll start from scratch. Little green button to add a new row. I'll throw 2 columns in mine. And as I did above, I'm going to use a Blurb module, but you can use any text-based module for this at all. It's all the same. Let's chuck in a blurb. Move this around so we can see it. Okay. Title, obviously, you put there. Content, put here. I'm going to put a little something on the bottom, like I've done above there. I'm going to just put a little gap in there. I'm going to say learn more, or whatever it is you want to put in your button. The image, let's just throw a quick image in there. Okay, well, let's go back to our text now, and we're going to make this little bit of text here look a little something like this up here. Make it stand out from the rest of the text there. Now, the first thing I want to do, I'm going to change the actual size of this text. At the moment, it's paragraph text. I'm going to make it perhaps an H3 or an H4, whatever works for you. Now, I'm going to add a link to it, because we're going to want to take people somewhere where when they click on it. To add a link, just hit the little chain icon up here. Put in the URL where you want to take people right here. If you're linking to your own site, leave the target as none. If you're linking off-site to somebody else's, open it in a new window. That way your site will stay open. And the text to display is learn more. That's absolutely fine. So we've got a link there, and we've also got something that is a heading 4. Now it looks pretty usual right there. If we do that, it's just a regular link. If we switch tabs now to the text tab over here, we can see it's got an H4 tag telling us it's an H4. It's got an anchor tag telling us it's a link, and there's the actual link. I know I've got a hashtag as a placeholder. You'd have a real link in there, obviously. There's the actual text itself. There's the closing anchor tag for the link and the closing tag for the H4. Now to style this up, all I need to do is put my cursor just to the right of the 4 there. Make sure it's inside that right pointy bracket there. I'm going to put a gap. I'm going to write the word style, S-T-Y-L-E. Equals, and then open some inverted commas there. And we can write our CSS in between these 2 inverted commas right there. Okay, remember we're dealing with this little bit of text over here. Let's just scoot this up slightly. There we go. Well, the first thing I think I want to do is give it a blue background. I'm going to use the generic blue we've been using here. So I'm going to say background, B-A-C-K. G-R-E-N-D, and I happen to know the hex code for the generic blue for Divi is 0C71C3, so let's put that in there, 0C71C3. As you can see, that's given it a blue background there. That's fine, but I'd rather have our text perhaps white in color, so we need to put a semicolon between each bit of code we put in here. I'm going to put a semicolon to change that color to a white, or whatever color you want. I'm just going to write color, colon, white's FFF. Fantastic. And let's give it equal padding all around. I'm just going to use 10 pixels. So we can write padding, 10 pixels. Because we put 1 value in there, it's doing all the sides, top, right, bottom, and left. If you want to put 4 entries in, you can have different for both. And it works like a clock. First entry is top. Second entry is right padding. Third will be bottom. Fourth will be left. So you can have different amounts for each. I want 10 all round. I put 20 in there by mistake. I thought that was looking a little large. That's fine. But of course, we don't really need to do any left and right because I'm going to put a width on this. That way it negates left and right padding, really. So that's fine right there. We'll add another little semicolon. And perhaps we might like a little border around there. So let's add border, B-O-R-D-E-R, colon. I'm going to make mine perhaps 2 pixels wide. So that'll be 2 pixels. It wants to be a solid border, not dotted or dashed. And I'm just going to say light blue for one of any other colors. Well, I use that stairs there. So now I've got a little light blue border going around the outside of it. And obviously you can change that to color and thickness to whatever you want there by adjusting the CSS. Now we can transform that text. Perhaps I might want it uppercase with text transform, text transform, and we'll just say uppercase. As you can see, that's all capitals now, but it looks a little large to me. And I'm just throwing this CSS in here for examples of anything you can do to your text. You can really manipulate it how you want. And I'll put this CSS down below for anybody who wants to copy and paste, but obviously you're going to want to make it your own. So let's keep adding a few little different things here. Uppercase is fine. Well, it's a little too large for me. So let's shrink it down a little bit, the text I'm talking about. We can do that with font size, font-size, S-I-Z-E, colon. And I think I use 14 pixels above. I think that might be the default size for buttons and things, but obviously, again, make it exactly the size that you want it. That scaled it down a little bit for us there. Fantastic. Now, if you wanted to actually change the font itself, you could use the font family and then add the font family that you want there. I'm going to leave mine on the generic there, which is fine. So let's put another little semicolon there. A little bit close to our writing. I'd like to have it down a bit so we can add a bit of margin to do that. So again, after our little semicolon, I'm going to say margin, a dash top. And let's drag it down by perhaps 20 pixels, 20 px. There we go. That's put a bit of daylight between the bottom of there and our text right here. Remember, this is just a piece of text we're dealing with here. Now, you may have noticed this is full width. If you wanted the text in the middle, you could align the text center. We'll adjust the side of this in a moment. So let's put another little semicolon after our little 20 pix entry there. And we'll say text, T-E-X-T dash align, colon, and we want it in the middle center. Fantastic. Obviously, if you wanted it right, put right. And if you wanted it left, just leave it out. It's left by default. I actually want mine in the center. So let's change that back. Great. Well, like I said, at the moment, it's stretching the full width of our module there, which is okay if that's what you want. Just leave it like that. That's fine. But I want mine a little bit skinnier than that. So after the text center, make sure you put this before the inverted comma there. Make sure all of this code's in between the two inverted commas there, or it will not work. Let's give it a width of perhaps 40%. So I'm going to say width, W-I-D-T-H, colon, 40%. 40 and a percent sign. As you can see, that shrunk down to 40%. Now, I like mine on the left-hand side, as my rest of my text is there. You can put it in the middle if you want to, by adding some margins. But we've got margin top here. We want to bear that in mind. So what I'm going to do, if we want it, well, let's say we want it on the right first. If we want it on the right-hand side, I'm going to say margin, left, believe it or not, colon, I'm going to say auto, A-U-T-O. That throws it over there on the right-hand side. Now, if you wanted it in the middle, you can make margin right auto as well, and it'd be right in the middle. I could do just margin auto, but that would negate our margin top here. So we'd have to do margin left auto and margin right if we want it in the middle, but that's really easy to do. Put a little semicolon there. We can actually copy our whole entry there. Control-C to copy. I'm going to put my cursor after the little semicolon there and before the inverted comma again. I'm going to paste it in there and just change that left to a right this time. Make sure we don't cut off the colon or anything like that. If I just put right in there, you'll see that button's now in the middle. I was happy for it to be on the left, so I'm going to get rid of those two entries. I just wanted to show you how you could adjust it if you wanted to. Let's just get rid of those. It should be back on the left for us. Fantastic. I think perhaps the only other thing I want to do is just add maybe a little bit of box shadow. So again, after a little semicolon and before the inverted commas there, let's add a bit of box shadow. B-O-X dash shadow. And what do we want to do with it? Well, I don't want any left and right, so I'm going to have 0 pix. You can just put in a 0 there if you wanted to. 0 pixels. Then I'm going to have it 7 pixels up and down, which will drop it down a little bit. Then I want the spread to be about 14 pixels, twice our drop. And the color I'm going to use is a sort of grayish, which will be a 999, hashtag 999. As you can see, we now got a little bit of box shadow, gives it that little 3D styling. Now that's a very square looking button. If you wanted to round out those corners, very easy to do. We can do that with a bit of border radius. So again, we'll put a little semicolon in there. Right after it, let's add some border radius, border dash radius. And if you give it a large value, you can make pill-shaped buttons. For instance, if we give it 50 pixels, 50px, you'll see it's got round corners like that, pill-shaped button. But I just want slightly rounded corners, so I'm going to take that down to perhaps 8 pixels. I think that is the default for Divi buttons as well. So I'm going to take my 50 there and turn it into 8. That way we've just got slightly rounded corners. That button there should now be similar to a 1 on the top. Perfect. Like I say, this has been an example of how you can style any piece of text to make it stand out from the rest. We've just done this into what looks like a button there. The only thing with inline, you can't really create a hover effect. You could give it a class name up here by putting h4 class equals, then open and close some more inverted commas there. We can make up a class name for it. Say BBTN for blue button perhaps. Then if you wanted to, you could go over to your advanced over here, custom CSS, freeform. And we can say blue button, BBTN was the class name we use for it. All class names have a dot or a period in front. Make sure you put a dot or a period in front, it won't work. Then we can open and close some curly brackets here. Inside, we can tell it what we want it to do. Well, I want it to only do this on hover. Let's change that background to a red, perhaps, just for example. So after the BBTN class there, put a colon with no gap and the word hover. And then we'll change the background from blue to perhaps red. It's not doing it at the moment, so we need to force it. What I'm going to do is put a gap there and use the word important, exclamation mark, important. That'll overwrite the initial stars there. Now when I put my cursor on it, it should change color. But it's doing it absolutely instantly. If you wanted to slow that down for a bit more grace, we could do that very easy with another bit of code. Let's just copy this whole thing. Control C to copy. I'm going to drop it down underneath. I'm going to take away the colon and the hover right there, so it's just the regular class name. I'm going to get rid of the background red there and use a transition duration. Dash duration, duration, a colon. Let's maybe give it 3/4 of a second, which will be 0.75s, 0.75s. Now when we hover over it, it should take 3/4 of a second to change from blue to red. As you can see, that's a lot more gradual right there. And that's just an option. Like I say, we're all about the inline CSS today. The only thing you can't do is these are hover effects, but you can do them really easy in the freeform CSS tab there. So let's save our changes here. Make sure this is all going to work on the front end. Save the page changes. And let's exit the Visual Builder. And we'll go on down. Here's our new one. Our top ones, we didn't give that class name, so there's no hover effect on them. But our bottom ones, we use that inline to give it the look it's got right there. Then we added this little hover effect, just so it changes color on hover, using our little freeform CSS tab. But that's a great thing to know. Inline CSS you can use on just about any site you want. You can use it with Bootstrap, you can use it with HTML, you can use it with Elementor, you use it with Divi. Pretty sure you can use it on Gutenberg. You used to be able to if they got those text boxes. So it really is a great thing to know how to do. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you have any questions, drop them down below. I'll do my best to answer them for you, or make a little demo video just like this one. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.